guys come in there, for the most part, they're great guys. Like the guy, Ray Romano, never wanted anything.
Yeah, and he's a humongous. Yeah.
Sweetest guy in the world.
Right.
Brian Regan, Kevin James, easy guys.
Right.
You know, we had a rider on Damon Wayans.
Right.
And we went out and we did the rider.
Right.
And Damon came in the green room and goes, Vinny, you don't have to do any of this.
Yeah.
He goes, this is for when I'm doing a theater. Yeah. And he's the sweetest, easiest guy.
Well, agents don't give a fuck about you. I mean, they don't care. I feel like the more and more I get into this, I'm like, oh, agents don't care. I literally, for a year, I was public about it, whatever. I was like, because my kid's mom was a vegetarian. I was like, I'm going to be vegetarian for a year. I would talk about it in my act, tweet about it, whatever. For almost that entire year, the rider that my agent would send to comedy clubs or clubs and colleges, whatever, would be a cold cut sandwich tray.
Yeah.
When I'm like, I don't eat the meat. And they don't care. It's just like a generic thing where they say, Chris needs this. I never like cold cut sandwiches. I don't want cold cut sandwiches. If anything, all I'd maybe want is pizza, fucking some tea, tiramisu, like fat guy shit. I want a fucking bologna sandwich from whatever bullshit deli. No.
Right.
But they don't care. The agents don't care. They just send these generic rider bullshit. But the sneakers, that seems like a specific request.
Well, let me tell you something funny. I'll tell you something really funny. And I can say it now because we'll never use the guy again because we had a thing. But the sneaker request, I thought was so egregious.
Right.
That he would come in and I would just go, oh man, we looked everywhere. They're out of stock. Your size, we couldn't get your size. And he would bitch a little bit and then move on. And I think it was really just an ego thing.
Sure.
Which is the question. See, because here's the other thing. When I watch you on stage, I don't know, you seem to have a very healthy, in-check ego. Like you're having as much fun as the audience.
I think one of the things, my father's, like, the one thing he would always remind me of and still does is there's always somebody better than you. And I think I dealt with a lot of anxiety, and people who deal with anxiety always carry it with them. But I think there was something that happened where with my anxiety, I realized the narcissism and ego attached to anxiety that makes me look at my old self from like a few years ago. Like, I hate that guy who was so self-obsessed with his symptoms and what was going on with him. And then I had my daughter and he becomes selfless. And I'm just like, the ego and narcissism I can see now in people. I'm like, it bothers me because I see it in myself. And I think like we're all like imperfect in many ways, but I'm just very much like, hey man, like the last thing I ever want to come across as is narcissistic or as someone who has a big ego, because it's one of the things that I despise. That in insecurity and narcissism are the two things I despise in human beings the most. So if I feel I have it, I try to nip it right away.
Are you saying about me because I'm perfect?
No, you're not perfect. You can't hear anything.
That was a real quick.